Okay, guys, I want to talk to the new moms today. We're going to talk about what it's like to bring home a new baby and not feel necessarily supported or have your boundaries respected by extended family members. And I was in your shoes, I know people in your shoes, and I really want to dive deep into this conversation because I think it's really important that you understand that this is your time to define what your new family is going to look like, what your family life experience is going to be. And it can be really hard to do that when you're dealing with extended family members who don't respect your boundaries, who sort of make this whole experience about them, and who you feel uncomfortable possibly communicating with. New moms need all the support they can get. And that's not always what they get, all right? It's not always support and nurturing that you're getting from the people around you who are supposed to be the supportive and loving ones. And usually this is happening when you yourself or your spouse comes from some sort of dysfunctional family system. Now, there are so many different types and brands of dysfunctional family. No one's family is perfect. Let's just put that out there, right? But, there's sort of a spectrum, and some of us come from backgrounds that are just fraught with maybe there's addiction or divorce or, family members don't get along, or there's maybe narcissism present. Just so many. There's people in play that, stir up trouble, or just people are selfish and there's just everything's ego driven. It doesn't even matter the details of the dysfunction. If you are in a situation where you don't feel like you can set boundaries, or your boundaries aren't being respected, and you have just brought a new baby into this world, or you're about to bring a new baby into this world, that should not be how you feel right now, and you have every right to do whatever you need to do to make yourself comfortable, to create a safe and nurturing space for you and your new family. It is so important that you, as the new mom and your spouse, are comfortable and happy and at peace, okay? Because that is A, what you deserve, and B, it's what your new baby needs, okay? Every new family, every new couple should have the freedom and support from everyone around them to start to create a life of their own, to start to define what their path ahead will be. If you have people in your life who are making you feel guilty for any bit of what you want your future to look like, or they're imposing their opinions and their unsolicited opinions and their unsolicited advice, or they're showing frustration or anger or manipulative sadness, let's say, over certain things that you want to do with your life. Maybe it's where you want to live. Maybe it's how you want to raise your kids. Maybe it's how you want to treat your very early postpartum weeks or your long-term postpartum experience. If any of that is present, I mean, a little bit of it you're going to maybe experience here and there, but if it's sort of like the defining feature of your experience stepping into motherhood, there's a problem. And the problem is not with you. There are things that you can do, right? There are things that you can do to start to create that protected and nurturing space for yourself. But you have to understand that if you are being made to feel that way, right, it's coming from a source that is not functional, that is not necessarily emotionally and mentally healthy, okay? Because people in a healthy, functional family system, when a woman brings home a new baby and starts her life growing a family with her spouse or partner, the right and healthy and loving thing to do is for those people to support you, to cheer you on, to be so interested and excited in how you're choosing to live your life, right? There should be nothing but support and cheering you on. And a lot of times what you get, right, if you yourself or your spouse is coming from a dysfunctional family system where you or they have struggled in their relationship with parents or siblings or, whatever, What you're probably going to find, I know what I've found, and with, people who I've spoken to have found, is that instead of being supportive and cheering you on, a lot of the people around you, let's say, for example, more specifically, extended family members, so it might be the soon-to-be grandparents or aunts and uncles or cousins, close friends, what you might find is that they're making the experience of you welcoming your first child, they're making it all about them and what that means for them. So, grandparents might be so consumed by the fact that they're becoming grandparents, right? And they want their experience of becoming a grandparent to be some certain way, right? They want to have some certain role that they're defining in their new grandchild's life. They want to be a certain type of grandparent. They want their friends and their whole network to see them as a certain type of grandparent. And so every way that they interact with you is sort of an attempt to control and manipulate your actions to suit their egotistical and I'll even say narcissistic needs, right? There should not be this focus on, oh, I'm becoming a grandparent and these are the gifts I want to buy, and I want to be the one who buys this gift, and all my, whatever. This is an obsession of, figuring out what name they're going to be called, and the type of relationship they're going to have in the child's life, and any request that you make to give space or to not overbuy on presents, or the way that you're going to raise the kid, or that you don't want a certain level of visitation in your first few weeks postpartum. Anything that you start to set as a guideline will feel like will feel offensive to that person, right? It'll feel like you're getting in the way of their plans of how they want to be a grandparent. All right. And for me to describe this out loud, it sounds so crazy and toxic and dysfunctional, but it is the reality for a lot of people who are coming into parenthood, coming into motherhood, after having survived their own dysfunctional family system, their own dysfunctional childhood. Those players from their own dysfunctional childhood are still in their life now, and now they're going to try and either knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or subconsciously, cause problems for you as you start your new family, which, this is your chance. Having a child, okay? There's always an opportunity to heal and to start to change things for yourself. When you bring a new child into this world, that is a whole new opportunity to actually break generational cycles, right? You have a chance now to wipe the slate clean and say, I am not going to raise my kids like this. This is the type of family I want to have. This is how I want to, this is the type of environment I want for my family and for my children and for my husband and I. And it's not anyone's business, not your mother's, not your father's, not your mother-in-law's, not your father-in-law's, not any aunts and uncles or whatever. It's no one else's business what you choose to do. It is you and your spouse, okay, deciding what is best for you and your family, okay? And now, what does this come down to? How do you fix this? Because I know if you're watching this video and you've gotten this far, it means this is resonating with you, and you're probably in a position where you're like, everyone is just, they're trying to impose their advice and their opinions, and they want to buy us this, and they've already bought us this when we said we didn't want it. And, we don't want to have visitors the first couple of weeks because we're afraid of, the baby getting sick, but, we're afraid people aren't going to accept that, or they're going to be upset, or they're going to be angry, or they're going to be jealous if this person is able to be around us, but, we don't want them around us. Let them be jealous. Let them be angry. Let them be frustrated. Let them be mad. Let them be sad. Their emotions are irrelevant to you, especially in this circumstance. It is not your job to manage the emotions of other grown adults. If they cannot handle the fact that you have boundaries and you're starting a family and raising that family how you want, okay, and entering into motherhood the way you want, if they can't respect that or they can't handle it, that's a them problem. That is not a you problem. They have to go and take their emotions and figure out how to manage those emotions, okay? Now, if they lash out because of your boundaries, okay, then you set stronger boundaries. You stronger and stronger boundaries. I do have a boundaries course that's not available yet, but in that course we talk about the sliding scale of boundary intensity. And that is, we go from anywhere from communicating our needs, restating our needs a second time. Then we start to limit communication, and we may even have to cut off communication for a time. And it continues, maybe contact is eliminated for good in some extreme certain circumstances. But you have a lot of options as a new mom, as a person. You don't even have to be coming into motherhood or parenthood to be setting better boundaries. But I want to specifically talk to you soon-to-be moms and new moms, because this is really important for you, okay? This is such a delicate time. It is a beautiful time. It can be a joyous time, but it's also very delicate, and you're going to be going through a lot of change. You're going to be experiencing a lot of new emotions and a lot of new levels of intensity with those emotions. It's just that entry into motherhood, and I mean, there's hormones involved. You deserve every ounce of protection and nurturing, okay, that you need. Whatever amount you need is what you should get, okay? And you need to communicate those things in whatever way you are comfortable with, okay? If you're not comfortable having a conversation with somebody, let's say it's your mother-in-law, right? If you're not comfortable having a conversation with your mother-in-law because you have a history, you know how she handles conversations, you know how she handles listening to boundaries, you know that she's overbearing with her opinions and whatever, and so you have a history and you know what that's like. And now you're like in your 7th, 8th month of pregnancy, or you're almost about to give birth, right? And you just don't want to deal with that nonsense. Write an email. Have your husband handle it, or write an email, or make a phone call. What you, as the new mother, deserve to be as comfortable as you possibly can, and you deserve to have all of your boundaries respected, okay? And even if this is your own mother, okay, you do the same thing. You can do it with love and respect, but you be firm, and you be honest and true to yourself. This is not the moment. There's never a moment where it's good to abandon yourself, but especially in this moment, as a soon-to-be mom or a new mom, this is not the moment to abandon yourself. Your baby needs you not to abandon yourself, okay? He or she needs you to be fully comfortable, fully connected to your authenticity and your authentic needs, okay? And you may come up against resistance, and that's quite common for people who have grown up in a dysfunctional family system, or faced some sort of challenge growing up with the people who raised them and the people who are still in your lives now as extended family. You can definitely face a lot of resistance, and that resistance can be uncomfortable, but you shouldn't have to deal with that resistance, is my point. So you always remember that any grown adult of sound mind, okay, is responsible for their own feelings, emotions, opinions, reactions, responses. That is their stuff to deal with. It's not your stuff to manage. Right now, you have enough to manage, and you deserve to not be overwhelmed, okay? And, for those of you guys who feel like you can't, I know some of you might be thinking, because I know I thought this when I was pregnant, or when I had my first new baby at home, like let's use an example. I was uncomfortable having a lot of visitors even the first couple months that I brought my first son home, because I was afraid of germs. I didn't want him to get sick. I had baby blues for the first couple of weeks, and I just really only wanted to be around the people I was comfortable with. Which wasn't many people. And I felt an immense amount of guilt because, of course, everyone in your life wants to come over and visit, especially parents and grandparents. And I didn't want everyone around my new baby at that point. I just wanted to be at home, at peace, doing the things I needed to do, breastfeeding, sleeping when I could, and not having to be paranoid about people bringing in germs and getting the baby sick. And I felt like I couldn't set those boundaries. I felt like I wasn't allowed to set those boundaries. I felt like I wasn't allowed to say no to, let's say, a grandmother who works in a daycare around sick children all the time. I didn't feel like I was allowed to say, no, you can't come over because I'm protecting the baby right now. I didn't even feel like I was allowed to do that. And you may be in my shoes. I felt like this is what I felt like. I felt like everyone else, their right to my baby was greater than my need to be at peace and to come into motherhood on my own terms. And that is a sign of childhood trauma. It's a sign of coming up in a dysfunctional family system where we believe it's our job to meet the needs of other people instead of meeting our own needs. So if you came up with a narcissistic parent or a parent who struggled with addiction, or I mean, any other number of issues, right? And you, let's say, were constantly in a position where you had to sort of manage other people's emotions, and you were always kind of trying to keep the peace and make sure you didn't piss anybody off, or, if that was sort of your role coming up as a kid, and now you're an adult, right? And you're having your own kids, if you haven't done sort of the work on yourself and sort of stepped into that intentional healing journey, it's likely you still feel all those same responsibilities to those people who are still in your life. And that is a dysfunctional belief. It's not a true belief, right? Like I just said a couple of times, grown adults of sound mind are responsible for managing their own emotions, and it's not other people's responsibility around them to manage their emotions for them, or to like shape their life and be flexible and twist and turn just to keep them happy. Like if you have a person in your life who is like that and who demands that kind of thing from you, you need some serious boundaries in place with that person, because they are not a functional, healthy person. Most likely they're narcissistic in some way, and that's not always a personality disorder. Someone can be like have narcissistic traits without necessarily being a narcissist. I mean, the way that's defined, sort of, people define it in different ways depending if you're diving into the psychology of it. But let's not even call anyone a narcissist. Just if someone has narcissistic tendencies and they're very self-consumed and they're very worried about what their experience is, that's a problem. You don't want people like that in your everyday life. If you have to or want to keep them around sort of on the periphery, you just need really strong boundaries, and you have to decide what those boundaries are going to be. And basically, it's just like, what do I want my relationship with this person to look like? What am I comfortable tolerating? What am I not comfortable tolerating? And then you find a respectful way to communicate that. And, I'll save for another day how to communicate boundaries in a way that is firm but respectful and also doesn't leave room for someone to push back. We'll save that for another video. But I just want to remind the new moms out there that this is your time. This is your time to welcome motherhood with peace and joy, and the people around you who are going to support you and love you and cheer you on and help you become the best version of yourself, the best mother that you can be. You don't need people around who are just sucking energy from you and thinking about their own needs. Okay, that's not fair. That's not fair. And even if it's a loved one that's doing that to you, it's still not fair, and they need to deal with their shit, and it's not your, pardon my swearing, they need to deal with their nonsense, and that's not your job to do that, okay? And like I said, your baby needs that. Your baby needs you to be at peace and to be happy and to not have to constantly be worrying about who's going to show up at my house, who's going to send gifts that I can't fit in my small apartment, who is going to, lie about, being sick or having a little stomachache or a little sniffle just to be able to come and visit the baby. Who is going to constantly impose their opinions and beliefs about what I'm choosing to do as a new mother, and for medical things or educational things or childcare, like that. All of that is noise that you do not need to bother with, that you shouldn't have to bother with. Okay, so boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. This is your time. I'll tell you, when I first came into motherhood, I was very uncomfortable with setting those boundaries, as I just described, but I really did have to set a lot of strong boundaries, and there weren't many people, hardly any, in my life at that time who I was comfortable letting in and being around, because I didn't feel like I had those sort of places of support. I didn't feel like I had people cheering me on. Most of the people around me were very consumed with what the new baby meant for their lives. And it made me feel very alone. Okay, so if there are any grandparents or soon-to-be grandparents watching this video, remember what it's like to have a baby. If you are, a soon-to-be grandmother or a new grandmother, remember what it's like to have a baby. And if it's been a long time, I realize it's going to be hard to remember the actual realities of what it is like to give birth and bring home a new human into your house for the first time, and to be breastfeeding and to still be bleeding and to, just be recovering. And you're going through such a major life change. All right. That woman who is either your daughter or your daughter-in-law, she needs you to support her, to love her, to cheer her on. She needs confidence. She's doing something completely new. Okay, she needs confidence. She needs you to say, you're doing an awesome job. You know what, you're a great mom, or you're going to be a great mom because of X, Y, and Z. I see you. I see how much love you have. I see how lucky your baby is going to be to have you and your husband as parents. Like, that is what they need to hear. They don't need to hear, well, I want to come visit at this time, or I don't think you should do this, or I want to send you this gift because you need this even though you don't want it. That's not what anyone wants to hear. You're not doing anything for the new mother and the new father. All you're doing is trying to make yourself look or feel good, and that's not fair to the new parents, and especially to the new mom who has just gone through this life-changing emotional experience. Okay, so maybe you need to send this video to a loved one, to a grandparent, or to a family member to kind of get your point across. Or maybe you just keep it to yourself. But I just want you new moms to know, because I wish someone had said this to me when I became a new mom, that you do 100% deserve to be happy and at peace. You deserve to have whatever experience into motherhood that you want to have. Spoil yourself a little bit, watch good TV shows, order your favorite food, get some wonderful desserts to enjoy with your husband while you're watching a movie and the baby's sleeping. Like, nurture yourself, take pleasure in the new experience in those moments where you can enjoy it. It is a lot of hard work having a baby, right? The breastfeeding and the lost sleep and all of that, but it is beautiful. It's a little bit harder for those of us who maybe have not yet healed from our own childhoods, and now we're starting to create a childhood for our own children. It's a complicated situation, okay? And that is who I am here to serve. So it's mothers who are raising young children while also healing from their own childhood trauma. And for a lot of us, for a lot of you guys, I know this is my experience, is that journey starts when we bring home our first baby. And we realize, like, holy moly, I want this baby to have such a better life than I had growing up. I don't want this child to feel like I feel right now when they become a parent. Like, I just want to do differently. And I know that I have to heal my own wounds before I'm able to fully deliver that kind of peace and happiness and solid, grounded childhood for my new baby and for my growing children. Like, we have to do the inner work on ourselves to heal from what we've experienced so that we can break the cycle for our own family. And that is absolutely possible. That's what I've done over the last 12 years, and that is why I'm making these videos and doing this work. So if you need any support, please reach out to me. I am happy to give you, my thoughts on certain situations. If you go over to my website, you can find coaching packages. I have a free ebook on the healing journey and sort of how I structured my own in order to be able to create a peaceful, happy, and abundant life for myself and my own family. I have 2 sons now, and they are happy, healthy boys, and we have a wonderful, peaceful family life. But it was a lot of hard work to get to this point. And it's really possible, and the journey is such a gift, and the baby and motherhood and all of that experience is such a gift. And so I just want you to make sure that you protect that time for yourself, no matter what that means for other people, okay? You having a baby should not be a defining experience for anyone else around you except you and your husband, or you and your partner, okay? It is about you and your family unit. It's not about anyone else, okay? If they're there truly to support you and cheer you on, they are going to be patient about when they can come and visit. They're going to be respectful about your choices and your needs and your own opinions and how you're choosing to raise your child, okay? They're going to be patient and respectful, and they're going to cheer you on, okay? When you see them, they're not going to be obsessed with, oh, I'm a grandparent now, oh, I'm an auntie now, and blah, blah, blah. No, they should be like, oh my God, you look so great. You're doing such a great job. Like, oh, I remember this was tough and, you're getting through it. Or is there anything I can, do for you? Can I, send dinner over? Even if you don't want us to visit, I'll drop it off at your doorstep. And if you say no, they don't keep asking, okay? Those are people who are healthy and functional and know how to respect boundaries. And those are the people that you want around in your life. And they're probably going to be the people that you want to keep around in the long term, right? People are going to show you, especially extended family members, they are going to show you their true colors the second you get pregnant and by the time you bring that baby home, right? Their selfishness and anything that they still struggle with in their life is going to come right to the surface because just a new baby around just makes everybody crazy, okay? And please just seek out the people, watch, step back and listen. See how people respond to you. See who's reaching out. See who's kind of giving you space when you sort of show that you need space in whatever way you're showing it, right? And see who's cheering you on and saying things to you that make you feel strong and supported and loved, and able to take the space that you need. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Like I said, head over to my website if you want to find a way to contact me and reach out and we can connect. I do offer virtual sessions right now, and in the near future, I will likely be offering some local in-home coaching and support for new mothers. It's sort of a new offering that I'm mulling over right now because I think that you guys are the audience that I am most passionate about serving, because becoming a mom was the entry into my journey, and it was really the catalyst for an entire life transformation. And I know how much support you need right now, but it is a blessing. Pregnancy and motherhood is a blessing and it is a gift, and I want you to remember that you don't owe other people around you anything, especially if they are not supporting you, okay? You are allowed the protected and nurturing space that you need, and everyone else needs to take a back seat until you define what you are comfortable with, okay? So that wraps up today's podcast episode. Again, my name is Danielle D'Onofrio. This is the Danielle D'Onofrio Podcast, formerly known as the Rehab for Everyone Podcast. We're going to stick with the Danielle D'Onofrio Podcast. But if you're new here, especially if you're a new mom, definitely subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get alerted when I release new videos. And if the video was helpful, I'd love for you to hit that thumbs up and leave me a comment below, which helps my message reach more people. So thanks again, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.